especially artists, so like Badshah is this rap guy. What if he wants to sing? But no, he can only rap, so he can't sing. So this one, I mean, it's like that. People love to put people in boxes, right?
Boxes.
So if Pratik Kuhad is a singer-songwriter kind of thing. So tomorrow, if Pratik Kuhad does a electronic album, people won't accept it.
90s came along and the 2000s, there was a lot of Black Eyed Peas. And so, which is why I have a lot of those influences. It's a lot of the singer, the big singers like Beyonce and Mariah, those kind of things influenced me. At the same time, there was a lot of rock stuff. I also heard a lot of Metallica when I was, I had friends who were rockers.
The uniqueness that was part of Vishalji's music. So my sound was also embedded in that uniqueness. And for me, it was very hard when I started, doing my stuff as a composer to not sound like him, because actually I was sounding like myself because I produced all those songs.
The name was coined thanks to Clinton's wife, Dominique Cerejo. Right. It's obviously a play on Shor Police. So we again, very relatable for all Indian audiences.
Right.
I mean, we ask random people, like, this is a question. So who's Shor and who's Police?
I'm Yatamanyu Narain, and I'm with Clinton Cerejo and Bianca Gomes, and together they form Shor Police. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you?
Hey, very good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
right.
Thanks, Yati. It's the pleasure being here.
So first of all, tell us about something about this collaboration, Real Music Works. How this tie-up sort of formulated for you guys, and what kind of songs we are going to hear in the coming future.
So it's very interesting actually, because I think this is a great time for India as a country to be culturally showing something other than Bollywood, actually, because Bollywood, I mean, the whole world knows Bollywood. It's always been the biggest export from India, cricket and Bollywood. But apart from that, I think there's a whole subculture that's, never that, and that's never somehow been talked about or never been in the limelight. And I think it's just a great time for that independent subculture to be noticed, and I think it's a step in that direction. Essentially, just to give you a background, I think the album is just one piece of content. It's a much larger
project
picture. Yeah, it's a much larger project. So Real Music Works is essentially a company that's based in LA and Nashville, and they are experts in the field of licensing, sync licensing. The CEO, Terry Nelson Carpenter, is also the president of the Publishers Association in the US, etc. She's a very it's a very illustrious career. And Real Music Works is her company, and especially they specialize. They've done projects like Guardians of the Galaxy, The Assassination of Gianni Versace, etc. So they were very interested in us as a duo in terms of the music that we are coming up with. And the whole plan is that in phase 1, we are going to be composing and also performing our own music. But in phase 2, we'll be featuring other singers, other artists as well.
Interesting.
And Shor Police Publishing is something that we also launched, which is the idea being that under Shor Police Publishing, we can feature some amazing artists from India.
Right. Interesting. So coming to the first track with this Monopoly Money, and it's an absolute banger to begin with, and it's very addictive, it's very catchy, and I've been humming the line, your love is like Monopoly Money. So take me through the process of creating that song, right from the songwriting, because you guys wrote the song as well. So take me through the process of creating that song, and how did you create that soundscape, that environment for it?
I think we were looking at, for a while now, we've been writing music that's been in the top 40 genre in a way. I mean, of course, we love writing music in all genres, but specifically for this album, we wanted to write something that was in that zone, something that was really not just melodic, but catchy, and something that people could dance to. And that cool line that you hear in the beginning, which is the musical hook, for the song.
Exactly.
We're really happy with the way that turned out. I don't think we decidedly thought, let's make it slightly Indian, but somehow with the, I think when we came up with the line, it was not meant to be. But then as it sort of, you know how it is with the creative process, as we started layering the sounds, it just ended up sounding so cool with all these, what turned out to be a lot of Indian instruments.
Right.
So it was, it just added that little slightly Bollywood touch to it in a way, which we were really happy about, because we never wanted to really shy away from Bollywood. We're grateful to Bollywood for all the work that we've done. We're really happy that Bollywood has actually put India on the map in a way. Everyone loves Bollywood all over the world, right? So can do no harm if it sounds a little bit like that. And in terms of
it gives us an identity, right?
Yes, because that is part of who we are. I mean, we're not running away from that at all. But the album, the rest of the album is very different. It's not all in the same space as Monopoly Money. But it's sort of facets of all of our influences and everything that we've been writing and been influenced by over the years in our music journey.
Right. And I believe the second song is about to release, which is called I think it's called I forgot the name of the song.
You Got Me Good.
Got Me Good, yeah. So the second song, Got Me Good, is releasing on 30th April. So how is that song different from Monopoly Money? Because like you said, all the songs are very different from each other in terms of musicality and tonality. So how is this one different?
I think it's just one of the earlier compositions that we did together as a duo.
One of the first songs we wrote as Shor Police. One of the first originals that we wrote as Shor Police.
We did it pre-pandemic, like very, very, like very much earlier than the pandemic. Probably maybe 5 years ago we composed.
Easily, yeah.
Okay. The first draft of it, rather.
Yeah.
It kept evolving, and it's turned into this really catchy disco-y kind of track. And we just personally both love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite songs on the album.
Right. And I've been very much curious about the name Shor Police. And how did you guys come up with this? And obviously, what's the story behind the two of you meeting and deciding to start on this journey together, this musical journey? Now which has evolved so much that you guys are coming up with such international collaborations as well.
Shor Police was actually, the name was coined thanks to Clinton's wife, Dominique Cerejo. It's obviously a play on Shor Police. So we, again, very relatable for all Indian audiences.
Right.
I mean, we ask random people, like, this is a question. So who's Shor and who's Police?
Even people that have met us for 5 minutes.
So who is Shor and who is Police?
Okay, so who's not Shor, but who's Shor? Who's Shor and who's Police? According to you, I'm asking you the question, Yati.
I think you are the Shor because I don't know, maybe.
It's also because I just explained it. I said that I'm the one that makes the rules. That's why you said that, right?
No. Because of the kind of genre that he has followed, or the kind of genre that he has, like the kind of music that he has made over the years. So it's very much rock oriented. On the basis of that, I assume.
That's true.
Okay.
I was always a rock guy, and Bianca was always a pop. I loved her pop sensibility, actually. So just coming to answer your second question, why we decided to go on this journey.
Right.
So, I've been a composer for a long time, but there was something that, when I was just post Coke Studio and everything.
Right.
I mean, not to take away from how grateful I've always been for Madari and for all these songs.
Right.
But somewhere I felt that it became too strong of an identity for me.
Right.
The fusion tag kind of stuck, and it became such a way that, people, they love to put people in boxes, right? They love, especially artists, So like Badshah is this rap guy. What if he wants to sing? But no, he can only rap, so he can't sing. So this one, it's like that. People love to put people in boxes, right?
Boxes.
So if Pratik Kuhad is a singer-songwriter kind of thing. So tomorrow, if Pratik Kuhad does a electronic album, people won't accept it.
Yeah.
It's like that.
It happens a lot.
We should have got Pratik to sing on Monopoly Money, then see what people say.
Yeah, his version, yes, of course.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's just a thing, right? So I just kind of got a little kind of boxed in. I was feeling like, that title was weighing a little heavy on me in terms of being known for fusion and everything. And at the same time, when we did this project called Anantal, which was again an extension of Coke Studio in a way, because it was fusion
with Vijay Prakash.
Vijay Prakash, yeah, I'm so glad you know about it.
Yes. I've been following your work from a long time, so
thank you. So it was a lot of fun for sure. And it was about pushing the envelope, I think, in terms of what people can accept. But what I loved about that time was the fact that I was getting a lot of time to spend writing with Bianca, because Jay Prakash was always really busy. He was also doing reality shows in the South, and end up being Bianca and me mostly in the studio trying to come up with ideas for the songs. And I mean, I would always have a little more finished concept for Anantal, but it was that little time that I got to spend with her writing that I understood where she's coming from, and she was coming from a very different place. In my head, the kind of influences I've had, we've grown up. I mean, I think with the same influences, but how she's received them has been completely different from me. And it's like the polar opposite of sometimes how I think. So I was like, wow, this was intriguing. So I said, let me just see what happens if I can, we can try and explore writing together. And she was into it, and we kind of started working, and there was something that was happening that was, I said, wow, this is interesting, because this journey, this is something, I mean, I can produce that rock sound and that fusion sound with my eyes closed, right? It would happen. But there was something about the artist that she was introducing me to that was like, oh, ma'am, I don't quite know how to do this,
Okay.
And it's great after like 20 years of being a producer, when there's music and there's genres that start challenging you all over again, and it makes you feel like you're just starting your journey one more time. Sense, like, okay, let's see how this goes, So that was really, really interesting for me. And we started meeting more to write together and everything. And I realized that wow, people are accepting it, with equal intensity. Like there's one producer, I just got her on board. For example, Bob Biswas was one such example, where I got her on board to write that song, and she ended up staying for the whole film for the rest of the so that kind of thing. I think it's being really well received by people. That producer for Bob also introduced us to Anurag Kashyap after that, because he loved the songs. That's how Dobara happened for us, and it's happening. It's continuing to happen. It's like an ongoing thing, and I feel that we're just beginning to scratch the surface actually of that. That's being peaked in the rest of the industry.
I think that when Clinton and I started working together, because of the years of experience that he has as a songwriter and a composer and producer, I never really imagined that I would fit into that world, because his musical persona is so strong that way, and the writing is so strong. I didn't feel like there was anything that how could I possibly contribute? But I guess that's what happens when you collaborate with other artists, right? They bring what they do best to the table, and you never know what's going to happen, right? So the best of musical ideas, when put together, can sound like something completely new, and at the same time you can hear the influences of all those people that have contributed to that piece of music. So I think that's what you hear when you hear Shor Police. You hear a bit of Clinton, and yet you hear something that's different. So I think that's what Shor Police is about.
And the strange thing is that sometimes the what's happening now, actually, after I think we've been writing for like the last 4 or 5 years now, and it's strange that we haven't done an album yet. So we were like, it's about time, But now that we've been writing so much together, including the film projects and the branded content and everything, sometimes people hear something and they think this is so Clinton, and actually Bianca's written that melody. And and the opposite happens. Like some people think that, oh man, this is completely like Bianca's headspace.
Yeah.
Actually, I've written that, maybe that bit, or that, that part of the song, or that how whole ideas germinated in my head.
Yeah, I guess that happens when two people work together a lot, right? They kind of end up sounding like one. So it's a good thing.
And they kind of influence each other. Like he said, that you introduced some of the artists that he hadn't listened to. So in that way, my question was to you, Bianca. So your versatility shows through the kind of songs that you sing. Whether you are singing rock, there's punk, or whether you are singing a more soul or R&B kind of song. So there's run and riffs in your voice, which really stands through. So who were your influences when you sort of got, inclined towards music? What kind of musician you listen to and who really had an impact on you, or the kind of music you create today?
Actually, it was just a mix of things, because it would be whatever I would be listening to on the radio, which was everything from very pop kind of stuff to maybe not so much jazz, but a lot of R&B, hip hop. And of course, as the 90s came along and the 2000s, there was a lot of Black Eyed Peas, and so which is why I have a lot of those influences. It's a lot of the singer, the big singers like Beyonce and Mariah, those kind of things influenced me. At the same time, there was a lot of rock stuff. I also heard a lot of Metallica when I was, I had friends who were rockers, so I heard that stuff. So it's actually like it's a mixed bag of things. There was then in the 2000s there was dance music. So I feel that I've always been that kind of person that I enjoyed all genres of music. So maybe it's a plus point now for me as a writer, because as a songwriter, because I can, if we need to write a song that's rock, or we need to write a song that's dance or EDM, it's something that is not so hard for me to figure out, how would this direction be, what would it be like. I think it's because I've listened to everything, so I'm really grateful for that, actually.
Right. And is it the same for you too, Clinton?
Like for me, I've always been somebody who's tried to listen to the most eclectic music that I could find.
Right.
That's always been my thing. I used to listen to like bands like Sigur Rós when nobody knew who Sigur Rós was. Things like that. And like Vince Mendoza, one of my favorite orchestral arrangers. So I mean, there's random stuff that people would not necessarily connect with. At least not mainstream for sure. That's always been my thing. So for me, when Bianca started playing me all these pop artists, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I mean, and in the mainstream, like you tend to diss mainstream most of the time, because your ears are always open to what's happening, around in the peripheral, far reaches of the music industry in a sense. But when you actually listen to mainstream with to try and replicate something like that, it's easy. It's really easy until you try to do it yourself. It's like that. Without taking names, I remember once I was sitting exactly in this chair in my studio, and we had a rehearsal happening downstairs, and one of these so-called very intellectual musicians happened to come for the rehearsal because he was playing in the band. So he entered my studio, and I had my session open, and I had all these squiggles of automation, on every track. I had like some and he looked at the screen and he said, music is not made like this by drawing lines on a screen. It's made of people. It's made in a room of people. I can't do this. I can't do what you do. I can't do stuff like this. And music is not made like this. I mean, I didn't say anything at that point, but I just thought in my head how small minded of a person to think that it's easy to just draw lines on a screen. Music is not made like that. Music is made in whatever way you want to make it. It's the that decides what they like or what they, as a musician, you're not doing yourself or the world any favors by thinking that way. I mean, it's just sad sometimes. So I think that for me, what happened was that realization that when I'm really eclectic, I have all those influences. That's always been a part of my arsenal anyway. But there's something that Bianca brings to the table that is really fresh and exciting to me, at least. So that's a great formula for the end result being bigger than either me or her. And that's what ended up happening most of the time. It still does to this day.
And it shows in your music, in the current slot of music that you guys are making and that you guys are releasing on YouTube. So I can see that shift and that change happening gradually.
Good, I'm glad. Yeah.
Yes. So Clinton, you have worked closely with Vishal Bhardwaj for so many years, and as much of a visionary filmmaker he's also a musical genius. So I wanted to know, how does he approach his music or sound that it becomes so distinctive for a listener like me? And of course, whether the kind of fusion music that you have created, even I saw some hints and glimpses of influence in your fusion music. So to what extent have you been influenced by his music?
Okay, so this is an amazing question, but I think that Vishalji is one person who was big enough as a musician, to be to allow himself to be influenced by me as well, as much as I was influenced by him. Which was the great thing about the relationship we had. I think a catalyst to that was definitely Hitesh Sonic, who I have to mention at this point, because he was the guy who really knew Vishalji's brain and knew his mind, because he was Vishalji for so many years more than me. And he used to be that one that I used to know how Vishalji will think because of Hitesh. But at the same time, I have to say that as much as I really, really enjoyed that period of my life, I really, really enjoyed it, and I think so fondly of all those days when Vishalji used to be at my studio, with those ideas, and we used to, and he was so open to whatever I had to throw at those songs and everything. But at the same time, I realized that the uniqueness that was part of Vishalji's music, so my sound was also embedded in that uniqueness. And for me, it was very hard when I started, doing my stuff as a composer, to not sound like him, because actually I was sounding like myself, because I produced all those songs for him. So there was a lot of instrumentation. There was a lot of those ideas that were genuinely, coming from a very deep place in my own soul as a creator and as a composer, or as a producer. And I think the lines are blurred sometimes between, when you produce something and when you compose something, and whatever, you're always bringing something special creatively to the table. So when I was doing Jugni, for example, when I was doing that soundtrack, I was trying very hard not to sound like Vishal Bhardwaj. Because actually I was escaping from another version of myself in those songs, in all the Vishalji's hit songs, which I had worked on. I had given a lot of my creativity to those songs. So it was that same germ of those, that was in me when I was doing my own songs, and I started ending up sounding like him, which was hard for me to kind of disassociate from that sound in a way, while I still maintain that I love Vishalji to death. I still love him. Like, I mean, I would do it again in a heartbeat for him, but because he's such a lovely person to, but for me to establish my own identity, aside from those songs, was equally hard, because you're working in that fusion genre, you're working, in that same style, and stylistic content is the same. So how do you then sound different from that?
That's the answer that I was looking for. So no, I ask this question to every musician and singers that I interview. So what are your thoughts on the current musical landscape of the country, both Bollywood and independent? Is it good, bad, ugly? You can be as candid as you want. I know I'm trying to put you in a sticky spot.
Trying to get some honest answers out of us.
No, or you can be diplomatic. It's okay either way.
I mean, it is what it is. There's been so much independent music happening over the past decade, which is really, really amazing. Non-film music, which again is which hasn't happened in many, many years. So, so we're really happy for that. And a lot of independent artists are becoming as big as Bollywood artists.
Exactly.
But again, because there's so much going on, not all of them are great. Some of them are like strictly average. And but again, it's art. And, I always have. I've never wanted to really judge that because you can't, because art is subjective.
Very objective.
So, if I might find something really, really exciting musically, someone else might think,
No,
but I don't really know what the future holds in terms of whether Bollywood is going to once again become as big and the monster that it's always been, or is indie music gonna take over? Because there has, with so many indie artists right now who are huge.
Right. This is sort of my last question now. So talking about the kind of impact, Clinton, you made with your songs. So I have a very certain memory attached with a couple of your songs. For example, first was I Just Want to Spend My Life With You, which was from Neil and Nikki. So I remember when I first discovered this song, I was dating my first ex, and I used to sing this song to her.
So she was not your ex at that point?
Huh?
No,
at that point she wasn't your ex.
Yeah, that time I freshly started dating her. So I used to sing this song to her, and I sort of introduced her to your music. And then when I was dating my second ex, I used to sing her Yaram. So what kind of impact you have made with your work so far? And what kind of impact you want to make in the coming times?
See, so for me, I've always had these multi-faceted experiences, right? So Yaram was me as a producer and singer.
Right.
Whereas I Just Want to Spend My Life With You was Salim's composition, and I was singing it.
Right.
Kya Karu was SEL's composition. I just sang it. And like, for example, all Vishal Bhardwaj's stuff, I was a producer. So I've always been, kind of had very different relationships with projects based on what I did for them, But having said that, I think that the impact of your work is so, can only be, perceived by somebody who it actually impacts. You never know what the impact of your song is until you actually hear it from the listener himself.
Right.
I'll never forget when somebody commented on Moje Naina, which happens to have sung one of the first projects that I think big projects that she sang for me. And
that's definitely a song that he did not play for any of his exes.
No.
Sorry.
That's a difficult song for me to attempt. So
so I met this lyricist and scriptwriter who was one of a really good scriptwriter actually. And he told me, he said, Moje Naina is that one song that I will have playing when I actually slit my wrists one day. And I was like, wow, that's such a morbid thought. But you think, no man, I'm telling you with the greatest respect that song is so intense that in my final moments of my life, that's the song I want to be.
It is.
I want to be listening to that song in the final moments of my life.
That's really creepy.
I was like, it's creepy, but it's also like it gives you a picture of how intensely he felt for it, and it's amazing that the impact your music has, you never really know, because sometimes you just do it in such a disconnected way. In fact, it's strange, but one of the comments on Monopoly Money, but you know what Monopoly Money is about, right? I'm sure you probably have songs about people who are your love is like Monopoly Money. I ain't buying it, no more honey. What we had was a joke that ain't funny. Your love is Monopoly.
Right.
It's about that realization
Right.
That you realize somebody's now what they seem. And so there was a comment in the YouTube comments, Monopoly, the lyrics remind me of my ex. And I was like, oh man.
Yay, we're relatable.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I think that's it from my end. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you guys, and all the best for all the coming tracks. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm rooting for you guys, and
thank you so much.
I hope to catch you guys your live concert. So
yes, looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Thank you, Yati. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Bye.